will be much better if I have the actual visa sticker in my passport. Maybe they'll let me in, but maybe not.
Noraly Schoenmaker's hardest chapter reveals how the woman who fearlessly conquered 80 countries on 6 different motorcycles now considers America too dangerous to visit. Despite riding nearly 200,000 kilometers across the globe, this adventurer faces an obstacle no motorcycle can overcome. After captivating followers who have watched her journeys over the past 7 years, Noraly recently had to cancel her U.S. book tour for free ride. What really made her cancel her U.S. tour? And why could one wrong move change her life for 10 years? Stay with me. This gets deeper and more unsettling than you'd expect. Behind the camera, the real life of Noraly Schoenmaker. Beyond the thrilling motorcycle adventures shown in Noraly Schoenmaker's videos, a deeper reality exists that involves careful planning, physical strain, and strong emotional balance that rarely appears on screen. Behind every smooth shot and calm narration sits a routine filled with uncertainty, discipline, and endurance. And many people naturally wonder how such a journey truly works, day after day. Noraly Schoenmaker explained that solo travel comes with unpredictability as a constant companion, and shared that no fixed plan guides the journey, a choice made after many years of traveling alone and discovering comfort in flexibility. This approach means routes stay open, plans shift easily, and decisions happen on the road rather than on paper, which raises an important question. How does anyone move across continents without knowing what tomorrow looks like? The answer rests in adaptability and trust in experience, because planning happens in real time based on weather, safety, road conditions, and energy levels. That freedom also brings serious risks, especially in remote regions where help sits far away. After a serious motorcycle accident in South America, Noraly Schoenmaker described a long and frightening stretch of pain and uncertainty before reaching medical care due to the isolation of the area. Recovery did not stop at physical healing alone. Physical therapy became necessary, and confidence had to be rebuilt piece by piece before returning to the road. Many would ask whether fear lingered after such an experience, and the response pointed toward determination and patience rather than avoidance. The road continued calling, even after injury. Daily life on the move extends far beyond riding a motorcycle. Every day involves managing logistics, filming, charging equipment, and editing footage without assistance. Noraly Schoenmaker explained that content creation requires mounting one GoPro on a helmet and another on the handlebar, while aerial shots come from DJI drones that must be stored carefully on an SSD hard drive. All footage eventually moves to a laptop for editing, often late at night, after long rides. This routine raises another question. How does one person handle riding, filming, editing, and planning alone without burning out? The answer lies in structure built through habit and experience. Equipment maintenance forms another layer of responsibility because every camera and battery needs charging after each riding day. When camping far from power outlets, an X-Torm Voyager power bank with 26,000 mAh becomes essential to keep devices running. Without charged equipment, storytelling stops. And without storytelling, the journey cannot be shared. Each day becomes a careful balance between motion and maintenance, adventure and responsibility. Emotional strength plays just as large a role as physical ability. Noraly Schoenmaker revealed that workdays while traveling often stretch to 18 hours, filled with writing, filming, editing, planning, and problem-solving. This reality contrasts sharply with the calm and polished final videos that appear effortless to many. A fair question emerges. How does anyone stay motivated under such pressure? The explanation rests in purpose and passion rather than comfort. Solitude adds another emotional layer, though loneliness rarely dominates the experience. Along the journey, countless people appear, offering conversation, help, curiosity, and kindness, making isolation feel lighter than expected. Encounters on the road break long stretches of silence and remind that connection exists even while traveling alone. Yet the most powerful moments often arrive in complete stillness. Noraly Schoenmaker described riding alone through the desert as one of the most memorable experiences, surrounded by endless sand, stretching to the horizon, with no other presence besides the motorcycle and the open land. These quiet moments balance exhaustion, danger, and effort, offering clarity and peace that explain why the journey continues despite hardship. Behind every video sits a complex emotional world shaped by fear, joy, exhaustion, wonder, and resilience. Each kilometer traveled adds not just distance, but experience, and each challenge strengthens resolve. The journey of over 190,000 kilometers around the world did not happen through chance alone. Careful decisions, physical endurance, emotional awareness, and constant adaptability shaped every single step of the journey. Even when the cameras weren't rolling, what viewers see on screen is only a fraction of the story, because behind the scenes were long nights, quiet doubts, unexpected strength, and lessons learned the hard way. The contrast between appearance and reality slowly reveals a deeper truth, one that deserves a moment of reflection. And this is exactly where everything comes together. The making of Free Ride wasn't just a creative project. It was a book born directly from lived experience. Stay with this story till the very end, because the final insight changes how everything makes sense. The Making of Free Ride, a book born from experience. In June 2025, news quietly spread that Noraly Schoenmaker released a raw and deeply personal memoir titled Free Ride, and within a short time, the book climbed straight onto the New York Times bestseller list, surprising many people who only knew the cheerful and fearless image from online videos. The book offered something very different from polished travel clips and upbeat narration.
They had one copy of my book. There's one signed book in the Waterstones bookshop behind me.
The writing revealed an unfiltered look behind the smile, behind the confidence, and behind the endless miles on two wheels. Many people began asking why a person known for positivity and adventure would suddenly choose such an open and vulnerable format. The answer traced back to a painful turning point in Noraly's life. The decision to write began after discovering that a live-in partner carried on a long-term affair, a betrayal that shattered trust and stability at once. Noraly later explained that the moment created a desperate need for a fresh start, not just a change of location, but a full reset of direction and purpose. Plans initially focused on moving to India and trying to survive as a travel blogger. Yet reality quickly proved harsh. Stories failed to sell, money continued to disappear, and financial pressure grew heavier with each passing day. How does a person stay hopeful when plans fall apart so quickly? That question sat quietly beneath every page of the book. Out of that uncertainty came an unexpected discovery. Not romance or comfort, but a deep and lasting connection to motorcycle travel. Riding became more than movement. Riding became survival, freedom, and focus. Writing later allowed Noraly to connect the dots between heartbreak and independence in a way short video episodes never could. The memoir opened doors that online content had kept closed. Unlike upbeat videos filled with landscapes and small victories, Free Ride laid bare emotions that had long remained hidden. Loneliness appeared often in the pages, along with anxiety, doubt, and inner battles that rarely made it onto camera. Readers expressed shock at learning about constant self-criticism, quiet fear, and mental struggles that ran alongside every mile traveled. How could so much pain exist beneath such joy? That question echoed throughout discussions surrounding the book. Noraly described moments of being cold, hungry, scared, and overwhelmed, often feeling deeply inexperienced and unsure of each decision. The book spoke honestly about frustration with mistakes, poor planning, and the weight of learning everything the hard way. The sunny determination seen in videos did not disappear, but the writing revealed how much effort went into maintaining that spirit. Some passages described how cluelessness defined early stages of the journey, with wrong turns, broken plans, and moments of real fear shaping growth more than success ever could. This honesty struck a chord because the struggle felt real and familiar. Many readers admitted never sensing such inner conflict from watching videos alone. Writing allowed space for reflection that editing could never capture. As pages unfolded, the memoir followed a 9-month motorcycle journey stretching from India back to the Netherlands, documenting how each obstacle reshaped confidence and skill. Noraly explained that writing forced a slow look backward, turning scattered memories into a clear timeline of transformation. How does a wide-eyed traveler become capable and resilient without even noticing the change? The book answered that question through small moments rather than dramatic ones. Each breakdown, each wrong road, each lonely night added strength little by little. Writing became a tool for understanding growth rather than simply celebrating adventure. Critics praised the clean and clear style, noting the absence of dramatic exaggeration or tired travel cliches. The language stayed simple, honest, and direct, allowing experiences to speak for themselves. Many described the book as standing on its own, valuable even without knowledge of any online presence. The story worked not because of fame, but because of honesty. Readers unfamiliar with the videos still connected to themes of loss, courage, and rebuilding after emotional collapse. The success of Free Ride highlighted an important difference between storytelling formats. Videos captured motion and beauty, but writing captured stillness and doubt. Writing allowed space to sit with fear rather than edit it away. Writing allowed mistakes to exist without background music. Writing allowed sadness to share space with joy. Noraly later reflected that the book never tried to replace her video storytelling. It quietly completed it. Where the camera had limits, the pages stepped in, filling emotional gaps no lens could ever capture. As readers turned each chapter, many began to wonder something important. Would the cheerful, fearless image they knew from online videos feel different once they understood the full story behind it? Surprisingly, the answer was not disappointment, but deeper appreciation. The struggles, doubts, and lonely miles added weight to every smile and every journey shared on screen. Adventure suddenly felt more human, more relatable, and far more real. But just when it seemed like the story had come full circle, a new question emerged, one that changed everything. Why did the United States, a place many expected to be central to her journey, quietly become a no-go zone? Stay with this till the very end, because the reason behind that decision reveals far more than you might expect. Why the U.S. became a no-go zone. A surprising turn of events unfolded when Noraly, widely known for riding through conflict zones and the most remote corners of the planet, reached a point where entry into one of the most developed nations in the world no longer felt possible. And in April 2025, a difficult decision was made to cancel a highly anticipated book tour across the United States. Many people struggled to understand how someone who crossed deserts, war zones, and unstable borders could suddenly feel unsafe, attempting to enter a country known for modern infrastructure and global influence. Yet the explanation rested not on physical danger, but on immigration risk and uncertainty. Despite holding a valid 10-year United States visa, Noraly encountered a growing pattern of intense scrutiny at American borders, where immigration authorities increasingly examined travelers far beyond passports and paperwork. Officials were reportedly reviewing years of social media activity, published content, interviews, and travel history, searching for anything considered politically sensitive or potentially misaligned with American foreign policy. This development raised an obvious question. How could online posts and travel documentation suddenly outweigh a valid visa? Reports indicated that visas were being revoked without warning, sometimes at the airport, and even European travelers were being detained for weeks before eventual deportation. The idea of spending days or even weeks in immigration detention without charges or timelines created serious concern, especially for someone whose work depended on international mobility and clean travel records. Noraly's extensive travel history added another layer of risk that could not be ignored. Years of documenting journeys through the Middle East, including regions rarely visited by Western travelers, had built a public record that was both impressive and problematic under evolving border policies. Particular concern centered on Yemen, a country where the United States had cut diplomatic relations more than a decade earlier. Travel to Yemen alone often triggered additional screening, but public documentation of such travel raised the stakes even higher. From Yemen itself, Noraly openly acknowledged the risk, explaining that recent journeys and published content from the Middle East, and especially Yemen, created vulnerability to being flagged at American borders. This admission reflected not fear, but realism grounded in observation of other travelers who experienced sudden visa cancellations. A troubling pattern had emerged where travelers with similar profiles arrived at U.S. airports only to be pulled aside, questioned for hours, and eventually denied entry. Could a decade of responsible travel be undone by a single border interaction? That question lingered heavily. As planning for the book tour continued, practical considerations began to outweigh enthusiasm. A book tour involved months of coordination, venue bookings, flights, accommodations, and financial commitments that could not simply be reversed without consequences. The possibility of being turned away at the border after landing created an unacceptable level of risk. Deportation from the United States carried serious long-term consequences beyond embarrassment or inconvenience. Immigration experts frequently noted that deportation stamps could result in bans lasting up to 10 years, effectively closing the door on future entry. Even more concerning, a deportation record from the United States could complicate visa applications for other countries, especially those that shared immigration data or considered U.S. immigration outcomes when reviewing applications. One border decision could ripple across an entire career built on global access. Was promoting a book worth jeopardizing years of travel freedom? Noraly weighed these factors carefully and ultimately chose safety and long-term stability over short-term promotion. Statements made at the time reflected disappointment mixed with clarity. The risk of detention, deportation, and long-term travel restrictions simply felt too high. Financial exposure also played a role, since being denied entry after arrival would leave organizers, venues, and partners facing losses that could not easily be recovered. Canceling the tour ahead of time, while painful, prevented a far worse scenario. The decision also highlighted a broader shift in how border security affected creators, journalists, and travelers whose work crossed political or geographic boundaries. Travel was no longer judged solely by intent or legality, but by perception, interpretation, and algorithmic review of online presence. Perhaps the most striking part of the explanation came from a simple statement that carried unexpected weight. Noraly expressed that traveling to the United States no longer felt safe. This was not a claim about street crime or physical violence, but about uncertainty, lack of due process at the border, and the inability to predict how immigration officers might interpret past travel or content. For someone accustomed to navigating unpredictable terrain, uncertainty itself became the greatest risk. What made the situation especially unsettling was the contrast. Countries once considered dangerous had often offered clear rules and expectations, while a highly developed nation now felt opaque and unpredictable. How did the definition of safety shift so dramatically? The canceled tour sparked conversations beyond one individual experience. Many travelers, writers, and creators began questioning how border policies intersected with freedom of movement and expression. Social media documentation, once seen as harmless storytelling, now carried potential immigration consequences. Travel history, once celebrated, could become a liability. The situation illustrated how global mobility increasingly depended not only on passports and visas, but also on digital footprints and political context. For Noraly, the choice came down to protecting future opportunities rather than risking irreversible damage. The disappointment of missing readers and events was real, yet outweighed by the need to preserve the ability to continue traveling, working, and sharing stories worldwide. In the end, the decision reflected caution rather than fear, strategy rather than retreat. Canceling the U.S. book tour was not an end, but a pause shaped by changing global realities. The experience underscored how quickly access could shift, how fragile travel freedom could be, and how even seasoned travelers needed to adapt. A journey through conflict zones had taught resilience and preparation, and this moment required a different kind of awareness. Sometimes the most difficult road was the one not taken, especially when that road led through an airport gate with consequences stretching far beyond a single trip. What Noraly's story teaches us about resilience. Resilience shapes the core of Noraly Schoenmaker's journey, offering powerful lessons that resonate far beyond motorcycle adventures. Her story illustrates how determination can transform personal devastation into extraordinary achievement. After discovering her partner's betrayal, Noraly faced a pivotal moment. Instead of surrendering to despair, she channeled her pain into forward motion. Her initial motorcycle journey, from India to the Netherlands, became both physical distance from heartbreak and symbolic movement toward a new identity. This transformation demonstrates how painful endings often create space for unexpected beginnings. Unlike many content creators who present idealized versions of travel, Noraly consistently shows both triumphs and struggles. Throughout her journeys, she balances creating engaging content with maintaining genuine experiences. Her candid approach, sharing mishaps alongside victories, provides refreshing authenticity in a digital landscape often dominated by carefully curated perfection. Noraly's willingness to share her fears, insecurities, and struggles alongside adventure inspires countless followers. Her memoir, Free Ride, reveals dimensions of vulnerability absent from her videos, creating deeper connections with her audience. This honesty teaches that true inspiration comes not from portraying invincibility, but from acknowledging human fragility. Even facing significant obstacles, like her U.S. travel restrictions, Noraly continues adapting and pursuing new horizons. Her journey exemplifies how resilience isn't about avoiding difficulty, but rather navigating through it with determination and flexibility. With this, we have come to the end of this video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do well to like, comment, and subscribe for more content. To enjoy more thrilling stories, click now on the following video that pops up on your screen.